I'm making macaroni cheese today. Americans call it mac and cheese. So it's just really pasta in a cheese sauce, but you can add into it extra things, extra flavour, and make it a little bit different. You can have it straight from the pan, or you can bake it in the oven and have a crispy top on it. So it's quite versatile and easy to change to your particular likes. So with this recipe, I'm going to make a roux sauce for the actual cheesy sauce bit. There is an easier or a different method called the all-in-one method, which is on the lasagna sheet. So when I make the lasagna, I'll show you a different way of doing it. It really doesn't matter, the end result is the same. You get a creamy white sauce, which I'm going to flavour with cheese, turn it into a cheese sauce. So with my macaroni cheese, I'm actually not using macaroni, I'm actually using penne pasta, but you can use any type of pasta that you like. And I've actually got a big pan of water on there. Try and always bring the water to the boil before you add the pasta. Just read the instructions on the packet, because you can get quick cook pasta as well, which cooks in about 5 minutes. You can get wholemeal pasta, and you can obviously, if you've seen the tricolour pasta, which is like green, orange and white, which is flavoured with spinach and tomato. Not heavily flavoured, but it looks quite attractive. And if you're trying to get children to eat meals, sometimes a different colour pasta encourages it, and you can even get the novelty pasta shapes as well, like alphabet pastas and things. So use any pasta. It cooks in about, white pasta cooks in about 10 to 12 minutes. And you can always test it by taking a piece out and just seeing whether it's cooked to your liking. Traditionally, the Italians cook it to something called al dente, which means to the tooth, like dentist dente. And basically it means it's got a little bit of bite to it, it's not dead, slimy and soft. But it's really personal taste. So about 10-12 minutes, and that's cooking while I'm making my sauce. So it can be quite a quick tea as well, this. In my pan, I've melted about 50 grams of butter or low-fat spread. Low-fat spread, you can cook with it. It's got a high percentage of water in it, so it can make things a little bit soggy, like cakes and things, and it can splutter a little bit when you're melting it, but it's absolutely fine and of course healthier. You could use less butter in this recipe as well. Now I'm adding a chopped onion to mine because I like cheese and onion flavour, and it's having an extra source of fibre. If you like crunchy onion, you could just stick it in at the end. If you, spring onion works quite well, just chopped up, needs a bit less cooking. And if you don't like onion, just leave this bit out. But if you can try and get some extra vegetables into a dish like this, it's great, because kids usually like macaroni and pasta and cheese. To put a little bit of onion in adds a bit more fibre to the meal. You could put mushrooms in, and peppers, and anything that you can eat raw, you can just stir in at the end if you like and have it quite crunchy. So, you can modify it to how you like it. If you like bacon or chicken, you could put in cooked bacon or chicken at the end, or you can cook it now. So you just fry it off in the butter. So that's just softening a little bit. Okay, and when that's the way I want it, I don't want it brown, I just want it softened. I'll come back and show you what to do next. My onion's been just frying gently for a couple of minutes, and it's just softened. I like quite soft onions, so that's why I've done it like that. But as I say, you can just add it even raw, or you could stick it in the microwave in a little drop of water covered in cling film, and just take the crunchiness off it. I quite often do that when I don't want to fry something. Right, so when that's sautéed or softened, or if you're not putting the onion in, once your butter's melted, you need to add your flour. Now this is a roux. This forms a roux, so it's equal quantities usually of flour and butter for a roux. And the roux is just, it means in France, or it's a French word, cookery term, for just butter and flour mixed together. And it's to thicken a liquid. Now you might be thinking, where's the liquid? Well, it's going to go in shortly. So you just, basically, it forms like a paste. Now don't forget, I've got onion mixed up in this as well. I'm just going to get it on quite high, careful not to burn it, and you'll notice I would use a wooden spoon This is a non-stick pan, but just keep control of your heat. If you see it starting to get too hot or it's sticking on the bottom of your pan, turn your heat down a little bit. Now in GCSE, this is a high skill, making a bechamel or sometimes called a roux sauce like this. And all I'm doing now is just making sure that butter and the flour is well mixed together. It's made a sort of paste, and you cook it. It's called cooking it out, really, the term, but you're just cooking it for a couple of minutes, and it starts to look grainy, and that's fine. I mean, you know, you have to just learn to judge it. Don't let it start going too brown, because then it'll taste burnt. So you have to stay with it. All this is the sauce where you have to stay with it. Don't walk away and do something else. And it starts to look a bit like wet sand, really, was the description. Some people call it the honeycomb stage in recipe books, and it's when it starts to look like little holes in it almost, and it's just the flour cooking. Now, that flour is going to thicken the liquid I'm going to add in, and this liquid is milk. If you wanted stock to this, like beef oxo dissolved in water, or any stock cube chicken, if you added plain water to this, you'd make a gravy, and that's all gravy is. We tend to use a lot of gravy granules and things like that these days, but true gravy is like fat from the roast dinner, a little bit of flour, that forms a roux, and then you'd add the stock from your vegetables or from the meat juices, and that forms a proper gravy. So if you ever wanted to try that, that would be how you did it. So when it's cooked like that for a couple of minutes, I'm going to add the milk. If I add my milk all at once, I'll get loads of lumps. So what I'm going to do, 1, 2, 3, stop. And you'll hear the sizzle, and you'll see what's happening. I'm going to stir it, and it just disappears into the roux. But you can see that the sauce or the mixtures become a bit lumpy, you know, a big lump really. So as soon as it's disappeared, 1, 2, 3. Just count to 3 and stir it in. And you really mix that roux in with the milk, okay? And you can see now, it's harder work. You can hear that's the spoon on the bottom of the pan. And it's making like a paste. Now, if you beat it well at this stage, if you beat it well, you're less likely to have lumps. So it's quite hard work. 1, 2, 3. So just add it, counting to 3 in the beginning stages, and look how much it's more difficult to get it incorporated now. Keep it on the heat, okay? Again, control your heat. If you need to turn it down a little, do so, or up a little. You're wanting that flour is starting to mix in to the milk, and you can see what's happening, hopefully. Now, I've got onion in mind, so it won't be completely smooth, because that onion will make it lumps, but the aim is to get it lump free. So any lumps now, if you beat it well between adding that milk, you can see what's starting to happen. It's getting looser. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to add about half my pint of milk this way, okay? You just keep it in careful, making sure that you really don't let any of the sauce just not get stirred, so it starts to burn. And you can see what's happening, and hopefully it's looking a bit more appetising now, looking a bit more like cheese sauce. My pan's ridged at the bottom, you can hear that's what the noise is. So give it a good beat, good for your biceps this, good workout. And you can see that basically now I've got quite a thick sauce. So those lumps are my onions, they're not flour, which is good. And now I can actually add most of the rest of my flour, okay? And you have just, if you do this, you have made a bechamel sauce using the roux method. And that is a high skill in GCSE. The all-in-one method, which is less hard work on your biceps, is on the lasagna recipe when I do that. And some of you might prefer to do that But it's a good skill to learn to do this, because you can use this sauce in so many different ways. I mean, if you put cheese in that now, it's just pour it over cauliflower, it's cauliflower cheese. Pasta, macaroni cheese, you put parsley in and make a sauce for your fish, for a piece of fish. You can do mushrooms, you could do all sorts, and really you can do it as thick or thin as you want. That now is, I know, I'm pretty confident it's not going to have any lumps in it, so now I can add most of my milk until it's the thickness I want. Now with macaroni cheese, I want quite a runny sauce, I don't want it too coating, it's called, too much of a thick sauce. And I'm going to just make sure every time I add it, all my sauce, all my roux is mixed well in. If you find, like me, you've got it all up your spoon, you can just scrape that off. Now, whatever you do when you're working with flour and hot liquids, do never put flour into a hot liquid. It just creates big bubbles of horrible dry flour, and it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't thicken it, it'll just destroy. So if for example you thought, oh, I'll just thicken it a bit, well, flour's a thickener, I'll put flour in. If you put flour in that now, you just end up with a disgusting lumpy sauce, and when you eat it, you'll get bubbles, like little balloons, little bags of flour bursting. Flour doesn't taste that good. So never ever do that. If you ever wanted to thicken the sauce, or a liquid another way, you'd mix your flour with cold water and make a cold water paste, and the same with corn flour. So you can use flour and corn flour for thickening. That's fantastic. That's what it's there. One of the reasons it's there. We use it in cookery, but you never add it. Never think, oh, just scatter it on the top. All right. If you want to actually see it in action, put a pan of hot water on, and or a cup of hot water from the kettle, and put some flour on the top, and you'll see what it's like. It's horrible. So that now is finished. I've added all my pints of milk, and I'm going to bring it to the boil. Oh, I think I've done something to my stove. Please to work. There we go. So I'm going to bring that to the boil, and once it's boiled, that's the thickest it's going to get. So I know that it's at its thickest stage. Okay. Salt and pepper can go in. Usual bit of, I like pepper, and I think you can take a bit of salt. Be careful of your salt, it's not that good for us. And cheese can be quite salty. If you've used bacon, you might not want any salt in at all, or ham, chopped ham you can put in at the end as well. So once that thickens, that's my sauce. I'll just move over to my pasta. I've drained the pasta in a colander, and sometimes pasta can stick together in a big lump if you don't serve it straight away. One way of saving that and stopping that is pouring a kettle full of hot water over it if you're eating it immediately. If you're not eating it immediately, or it's going into a hot sauce or into the oven, you can put cold water on. So you can just give it a rinse in cold or warm water, lost some of it. Cold or warm water from the tap, and it will be separate. So you don't get that starch sticking it together. I'm not having a good day with your pasta, it's not everywhere. So that's all drained. Okay, put that over the pan, it's not such a good colander for a pan. And meanwhile, back to my cheese sauce. Okay, and it just needs to bubble. I'm just having trouble getting my stove hot enough. I've got grated cheese. You can put whatever cheese you like in. You can grate the cheese yourself. Always cheaper to do that, but it's no different really. So I've just finished off some cheese I had in the oven. You can the fridge, sorry. And you can mix what type of you put in. I've actually chopped some sliced Gouda up there as well. Mozzarella's quite nice. Depends what finished effect you want. The mozzarella makes it stringy. So, but if you like that, use that. I usually like cheddar for taste and mozzarella for a bit of stringiness. And if you're planning to put it in the oven, then save some cheese back to make it nice and crusty on top. Now, the cheese does not need to cook. It basically just melts. So I'm just waiting for my sauce to bubble. Once it bubbles, and you can see it's gone a little bit thicker, it's ready. So I'm just going to wait until I have my cheese. I don't really want to boil my cheese. Okay, there we go. More or less ready. I like it quite thin. If you like it thicker, don't add all the milk. Okay, and I've used semi-skimmed milk, but you could use skimmed to make it lower fat, and you could put less cheese in it, and you can use, and this is low-fat cheese as well, so you can make it healthier. Okay, so once that's bubbled, totally bubbled, I can turn my stove off and I can assemble. No, I can't. I'm going to put my cheese in. Sorry, I forgot about that bit. I'm saving a bit of cheese back. Okay, mix that in. You'll see that the hot milk will just melt that. Doesn't need cooking. And I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to put a oven-proof dish. But you could just now serve it. So it's as quick as it takes to do the pasta and the sauce. Your tea's ready. So you could put the pasta into the pan. You could put the pasta into a bowl and just pour the sauce on top. I could use a spoon with my fingers. Okay, so there's my penne gone in. Any shape that you want. Okay, I'll move over here and then I can see what I'm doing. And basically, I'm just going to pour my cheese, my sauce, my cheese and onion sauce. And as I say, if you prefer, you can mix it all in the pan. Sometimes a bit easy. Just make sure the pasta's coated up. I'm sure my dog wants to be on film. Every time I'm cooking, he's whining to be on the camera. Right, so you can use all your sauce up like that. Give it a good shh. No, you can't eat the macaroni and cheese. And then you can sprinkle with cheese like that. Okay, and that would go in the oven until it's crispy on the top, or you can just serve it straight away. It's really up to you. But I hope you enjoy it. Be nice with a nice green salad, increase your fibre content even more. Or, as one of my GCSE students did this year, she made her own pasta, she did her own sauce, and she did a roasted tomato, little cherry tomatoes on top and garlic, and that looked really tasty as well. So, hope you enjoy it. See you next time.